رمضان هل هلاله وظلاله وجماله رمضان.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of Soul Food on ITV. I'm your host, Maulana Zakaria Philander. And today we're talking about healthy fasting. Is there something like healthy fasting and healthy eating at the times that you can eat in the month of Ramadan? Most definitely. We know that the primary reason for Ramadan is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, in order to adopt taqwa, in order to adopt proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And part of that is showing respect to yourself and showing respect to your body. To talk us through this, we have Faiza Abdul Latif, Unani Tib practitioner, a lecturer in natural medicine at the University of the Western Cape, also provincial chair for the South African Tib Association. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, Faiza. Shukran for agreeing to be on our show.
Afwan, shukran for having me.
Faiza, let's start off Unani Tib. Before we can talk about the benefits and about it and about fasting, what is Unani Tib?
Unani Tib is a modality of natural medicine, and it has links to Greek Arabic medicine. So there's also links to prophetic medicine, which is Tib Nabawi. What we do in Unani Tib is we evaluate someone's makeup, their physical makeup, and we try to determine their temperament. So basically that will tell us what type of physique they have, their personality, and that will guide us to what is beneficial for them to eat, how they should be living with exercise, sleep, and so forth.
So the month of Ramadan, you know, it's the month of fasting, but it's also the month of feasting, some may say.
Yes.
And Unani Tib has got a lot to do with temperament. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But it's also got a lot to do with what you put in, what you ingest,
yes,
and the way you eat.
Yes.
So, you know, firstly, what does Unani Tib say firstly about fasting?
Okay, in general, what the benefits of fasting with when we're talking about medicine, when we're talking about Islam, they're all linked. So it helps with our detoxification. Why do we need to detox? It's said that it's important for us. What we take in is very beneficial, or it can be unhealthy for us, because our stomach is basically our tank, right? And our blood vessels are attached to that. So what we take in can either be very good and beneficial, nutritious for our system and keep us healthy, or it would be harmful and cause disease. So it's very important also on guiding the types of food we have during the fast, or what we're having before fasting, and what we're breaking our fast with also, in order to maintain that balance and to help our body to detox efficiently.
Yeah, look, we're not all the same, and people eat differently, and people have different likes and dislikes with regard to certain foodstuffs. In this model of natural medicine, is there one diet fits all?
No, there's no such thing as one diet fits all. We believe that everyone is different, everyone's an individual, and we need to tailor make their lifestyle plan according to that individual, right? So for instance, your temperament. Your temperament would be more like sanguinous, right?
Okay, if we're talking about temperaments, what are we talking about?
We're talking about your physical makeup, the way you speak, your personality. Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? How do you what type of work environment would be suited for you also, that we can link up also. And then
okay, so you actually go about a process of determining the temperament
yes,
and then advising according to the temperament.
Yes, so the way you walk, the speed of the way you walk. You know that, say you're walking in a group with a bunch of friends or family. You know that the one walks a bit slower than the other one. One needs to chat and sit and talk to the others for a very long time first, and other one gets impatient. So that also tells us how everyone is different.
Okay, so are there categories
yes,
of temperament? Perhaps you can talk us through one of these categories.
Okay, so there are 4 main categories of temperaments. We have a combination of them within our system, but a dominance of 2. right? So two that stand out, that basically makes up your final temperament. It has to do with your physical makeup. So are you more bony? Are you more muscular? Do you have more muscle than fat? Do you have more fat than muscle? How's your metabolism? Is it slower or faster than others? Bilious people tend to have a faster temperament or a faster metabolism. That's why they're more leaner built. The phlegmatic people on the opposite end again, they tend
And
to
what would be some of the characteristics of a bilious person?
A bilious person
Qualities.
would be great qualities of leadership, but they can become impatient and aggressive at times if they're out of balance.
Okay.
Right? So things that they shouldn't be eating is stuff like too much of spicy food, too much of heating foods that might put them out of balance and make them more increase the tendency to become more aggressive or impatient.
So you're saying our CEOs, our managers, our bosses, our imams, these are the type of people perhaps given to who generally you would say has a bilious
Yes.
temperament?
It could be they're very organized also, but some of the weak points might be some being a bit of impatient
Yes.
or a bit of aggressive at times. It doesn't mean that it's all bad.
Yes.
Right? With everyone, there's different points. With phlegmatics, they so calm and accommodating, very, very friendly people to be around, but they can be shy and they will tend away from leadership roles also.
Okay.
Right? So they would then not benefit from, they would benefit more than from spicy food because it will heat up their system and their metabolism. But having too much of cold and moist food like your milks, those would not be beneficial for them in the end. So with everything we eat, our body as a makeup would then use that for making different humors in our system, and that can either be balanced or imbalanced, and that's where disease comes in.
Okay, subhanallah. So it's amazing that the science actually looks at the human being and the makeup of the human being. Having this type of temperament. You mentioned two. Maybe if you can touch on the others as well.
The other one is your melancholic temperament. Very deep thinkers, but they can be creative also. So their occupations should be more in the creative fields, but they are more the behind the scenes people. They're very good at organizing also, and analytical minds. So your mathematicians and those things, the people more introverted rather than extroverted also.
Okay.
Sanguinus is total opposite. You hear a sanguinus person from outside, right?
Okay.
So you know that they basically announce themselves, they speak loud, they're very friendly also, sociable beings, and they can win you over quickly.
Okay.
Yes, but
Okay.
they're also very disorganized, and the way your tendency for hunger, for thirst, also comes in with your temperament.
Okay.
So sanguinous people, they tend to be thirsty more than a melancholic person. For instance.
Faiza, I want to touch on what is good for them to eat after the break, inshallah. Stay tuned. Very interesting program. We'll be back right after this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. You're watching Soul Food on ITV. My guest in studio, Faiza Abdul Latif Unanitib, practitioner, lecturer in natural medicine at the University of the Western Cape, giving us advice this morning about our temperaments and eating healthy. It's the month of Ramadan. We are not eating that much. We are fasting most of the time. But we're talking about temperaments.
Yeah.
And you were saying that you were mentioning the two types of temperament, the person who is more or less extrovert, the person who is more in the background, the mathematicians, your people who rather want to work, who want to maybe lead from behind rather than the front.
Behind the scenes people.
Behind the scene people, how should they eat in general?
You see, with every temperament, there's a quality of elements, so dryness, cold, heat, moisture, right? The melancholic person's leaner build, bony frame, they are generally cold and dry, right? So it doesn't mean that you touch them and they're cold or dry or whatever. But yes, their hands could be more colder than a sanguineous person. So when you shake a melancholic's hand, you'd feel more dryness, right? They have a bony structure also, and deep thinkers. The sanguineous person, on the other hand, you'd shake their hand and they would feel more warm and moist, for instance. Right? So a melancholic person shouldn't be eating too much of cold and dry foods, and that would be things like your legumes, dal, lentils, cauliflower, broccoli. Those things also have a cold and dry quality about them, and that's what they basically, that's what they instill in the body when you take them in. So you shouldn't be also, as a melancholic, drinking too much of cold drinks. That would not be beneficial for you. But the things that are more heating and moisture would be beneficial for a melancholic person. So even your foods, your meats, different types of meats have qualities. Your chicken has hot and dry quality, lamb has a hot and moist quality, beef has a cold and dry quality. Your not a lot of meat have a cold and moist quality because those are mostly your vegetables, right?
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that a melancholic person should eat a lot of beef.
Okay.
Okay. Go option lamb instead.
Okay. Faiza, you're mentioning the different types, and I'm just thinking to myself, in my household, I have the various types of temperaments. Is there an overall? Is there a type of diet that a general diet that can fit for all?
I would say that you could adjust it for your family also. So I'm not saying that a melancholic person should totally stay away from beef, but it's not like every night you're going to have beef.
Okay.
You can then separate your different meals for different days. So the one day you're going to have beef, which would benefit the melancholic, or benefit the sanguineous rather, and one day you have lamb to benefit the melancholic. But then the way you cook your food also, use the sunnah way, using olive oil, using barley. The sunnah foods also comes into play, which would be overall beneficial.
Okay.
So the Quran tells us that there are certain holy foods out there, things that are beneficial, the blessed olive oil, barley, pomegranates, dates, all of those things. And in general, everything in moderation is good for you. So if you are balanced, you can have a meal plan for your whole family, but obviously accommodating for the different temperaments every day.
Let's talk about suhoor.
Yes.
The Prophet ﷺ said that there is barakah in suhoor, or what we call sehri, also, that you must partake in this meal because there is barakah in.
Yes.
Some people have the idea that because you're not going to eat the entire day, you have to fit breakfast, lunch, and supper in your suhoor. What is the proper way of having this sehri?
It's very simple when you think about prophetic medicine. When we think about the teachings of the Quran, the etiquette, how we should be eating, a third of food, a third air, a third water. In general, that's the way you should be eating. The way you're eating your food also, your 3 fingers, the way you're sitting also, you should be sitting more to aid digestion. So the sunnah way is the way that we should be eating. But then again, when we're thinking about suhoor, we need to think about making sure that there's enough energy in our system for the rest of the day that we have ahead, where our body will be without food. So we need to maintain those energy levels because we have day jobs, we have things that we need to do during the day. It's not like you're going to be sitting around. So make sure that you have nutritious meals during the morning before. And it's also advisable that you should be eating closer to Fajr time also, because staying without food and not having that morning meal is harmful to your system.
That's why the Prophet ﷺ probably said, as-suhoor fi barakah. That it's a blessed meal. It's a blessed meal.
It is.
Because it aids in good health.
It is, inshallah. So once we follow that, we should have a good guideline also.
I see you're not committing yourself to anything specific that you want to recommend.
No,
for
because
suhoor.
when our teachings and the way we do things in United is everyone's individual, and everyone, we need to tailor make a plan for them and their lifestyle. But in general, keeping in mind your nutritional guidelines, like having your carbohydrates, fats, and protein in balance, as well as having your good amount of vegetables and meats and even milk. So milks, the type of milks that you could be doing is like goat's milk or almond milk instead of your normal cow's milk. But cow's milk is also beneficial. But the way we're having it these days may not be.
Okay.
Okay, so things like having oats in the morning with cinnamon, adding a bit of coconut oil on there or olive oil, having something like the sunnah food is called talbina, that's like a barley type of porridge that you have with honey and with a bit of milk also. So those are things that you could be having. You could have whole grains instead. Whole grains keeps you fuller for longer. But always match up your different types of foods, like your carbohydrate with your protein or with your fat. So making sure that you have a balance also. So you have tuna maybe with a whole wheat bread, or a non-gluten option if you want, like your barley, which is less in gluten, better digested with your system. Adding your olive oils into your foods, that helps with digestion also. Cooking your foods at low heat instead of very high heat, which will be more beneficial because it's more nutrients in your food. And then things like smoothies. You could have like a banana smoothie with your milk option that you would like, and you could add in there things like raisins, dates, but obviously depending on your temperament, what's good for you. So melancholic would benefit from that type of fruit and that type of heat and moisture. But if a sanguinus is going to have that every day, it won't be very beneficial.
Okay, barakallah. Faiza, I'm getting an idea of how my suhoor table should look in the morning.
Yes,
Inshallah, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about how to break our fast and what are the beneficial foods at that time. We'll be back right after this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. You're watching Soul Food on ITV. We're talking to Faiza Abdullah Yunani, the practitioner, and we spoke about the importance of suhoor before the break, and you gave us some valuable tips, Faiza, on what the type of things are that we need to be ingesting, and also taking into consideration our temperament. I've taken a couple of tips, most definitely for my suhoor tomorrow. Iftar time. So it comes, you've had a full day of fasting. Inshallah, you had the benefits of fasting, you made your salah, you made your adhkar, you recited your Quran. Now it comes to that time of the day where you have to break fast. The Prophet ﷺ said that it's one of the happiest times for a believer is the time that they break their fast. But it should be done in the right way.
Yes.
So what is the right way?
The right way, I would say, is making sure that you adhere to the etiquette of eating with Islam. So you're having a meal sitting, you aid digestion in that way, the way you eat your 3 fingers, you make your du'as. And then also having something like a date, which is sunnah, has so much nutritional value and energy in that. Just breaking your fast with that is already beneficial.
Subhanallah.
So if you want to make sure that you're having the most benefit out of your Ramadan and your fasting period, make sure that you don't overeat. Okay, because I know it's very easy for us to do that also, because we've been without food for that while, and all we want to do is the table's decked, and all we want to do is dig into everything. It's very important to make sure that there's a third for everything. Okay, and air and your water is one of them. So you could maybe just break your fast lightly, and then after you make namaz or you make your salah, you could then indulge in your foods. And then the type of foods that you're eating, you need to keep in mind also for your temperament, what you're having. Hopefully we can accommodate each temperament, maybe different days, different foods. Vegetable curries is also very good, using olive oil to cook with instead of your harmful other oils. So the refined oils is not advisable. There's also sunnah within using olive oil. Then other things like the way we regularly eat in our culture, like our samosas and our chili bites and those things, the way we fry it, maybe use olive oil instead. If you want to use oven baking instead of frying, that would also be more beneficial. Remember that too much of refined foods and refined wheat things, white flour, is not good for us. So if we could use alternatives.
So what is harmful about eating a samosa that has been fried in normal oil?
Well, when we think about it, with the oil specifically that you're using is refined oil. So it builds up your cholesterol levels and it's harmful to your heart eventually, right?
Okay.
So when we want to have
the
oil has a direct role. So the type of oil we're using would be more like your monounsaturated fatty acids. So your essential fatty acids would be in there, would actually be more beneficial to your cholesterol levels than harmful. So it has the opposite effect.
So it's a big deal.
Yes.
It might just seem like you're eating a samosa that has been fried in this oil or that oil, but at the end of the day, it can add years to your life.
Yes, definitely. So the way we cook, we need to rethink that also. It's not that I'm saying you stay away from a samosa. There's nothing wrong with a samosa.
Yes.
What you're putting in the samosa, maybe do a vegetable mix with a bit of spices. That would also be beneficial for your digestion. Chilies are good also. Other types of things like your jeera and your regular spices that we normally use. So spices are very beneficial. And then also making sure that there's a good amount of nutrients in your system. So you're having a green salad or you're having some roasted vegetables also with your meals, instead of just having a whole big piece of Texan steak, for instance, and then not balancing it.
Okay.
So it's all about the balance and everything in moderation. The amount of protein, fat, carbohydrate levels need also to be balanced.
And portions, obviously you said the portion,
yes.
a third for the food, a third for this, for the air, and a third for fluids.
Yes.
What would be a healthy portion? Some people, they think they got big stomachs, and when it's full, they said, okay, that was my 1/3.
Yeah, funny enough, the size of the plate makes a difference.
Okay.
So if we eat out of smaller plates, our mind automatically thinks we're having a huge meal, but we're having a smaller plate of it.
Right.
If we're eating out of a huge plate, we're then going to have that amount of food to take in because we don't want to waste our meal also.
Yes.
So it's better to start off small with a smaller plate. Portion sizes of your carbohydrates, your protein, which would be your meat or your fish and so forth. And then also making sure that you have a balance. You're having fish, but you're also having certain types of meat, different types of meat, chicken. But vegetables overall is beneficial. Right? So making sure you have that every day is very important. The amount of water you drink also. You only have a very short period of time to take in food and drink. Water should be your main source of fluid there.
Okay.
If you're not a big water drinker, that's fine. Add some lemon in there, some mint in there to make it more appetizing. And we shouldn't be drinking while we are eating also.
Okay.
So 30 minutes after should be beneficial, 30 minutes before. If we break our fast with a bit, that's fine.
You shouldn't be drinking while you are eating.
Yes, and then soda drinks
what's the problem with drinking? I know lots of people, you put the food in your mouth and you have to have a swizz of something just to get it down.
Yes, but your digestion doesn't agree with your digestive system when you do it that way. But remember, when we're eating, our body goes through a process of digestion where our acids released and breaks up the food. Now you bring in water and neutralize it. It just makes things more complicated for your body to digest things.
So you think you're helping digestion,
but you're not.
But you're actually clogging the system.
Yes. Yes. So it's important also to note that the type of drinks that we take in, we should stay away from soda drinks. Those are high in sugar, high in colorants, things that's not going to be beneficial. A lot of the time we feel like very tired after the meal. Why is that? Because we've taken in so much that your body goes through a dumping session where you just feel tired and drained, and then you can't go to Tarawih because you're feeling like you're going to fall asleep also.
Yes.
So it's also the type of food that you're eating that are contributing to that feeling.
Okay. So that's not a good way to eat.
No.
It's not a good way to eat yourself till you're tired.
Yes. It's not good.
Faiza, in 1 minute, what advice do you want to tell us? Share with our viewers.
I think that it's just make sure that you have a balanced meal. Make sure that you have your nuts and seeds in the morning, your fruits in the morning. Have a balance of everything. So make sure that you also make the most out of what you're eating during Ramadan, because you either have a benefit to your system where you remain healthy or you stay healthy, you contribute to health, or you're going to have a negative aspect to what you're eating.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khair. Shukran for sharing this valuable information with us. Jazakumullah khair. And shukran to you for watching. And remember, you are what you eat. Eat sensibly, eat according to the sunnah, eat according to your temperament. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
رمضان هل هلاله وظلاله وجماله رمضان